Part of running a compassionate, orderly, and planned immigration system is removing people from a country when they no longer have a legal reason to be in the country, should they decide to remain in the country. This is a process that every country around the world ostensibly has, but it's becoming more of an issue in Canada since the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, tweeted #Welcome to Canada in January 2017 and subsequently saw tens of thousands of people illegally cross the border from the United States into Canada and then claim asylum here. So, many of you have been following this issue. Tens of thousands of people using a loophole in an agreement that we have with the United States, after having been in the United States, one of the safest countries in the world, to claim asylum in Canada after having been in the United States. So we know tens of thousands of people have come here. The Prime Minister has done nothing to try and stop this tide from happening and essentially a long-term abuse of our asylum claim system from happening. Instead, what he's done is he's made a variety of sort of vague statements about the issue. But of late, he's been saying something very specific. He's saying, don't worry, we are going to remove people that don't have a valid reason to be in the country. Here's the problem with that. It takes years, because of the backlog that's being created at Roxham Road, for somebody who is entering the country this way to have their asylum claim heard by something called the Immigration Refugee Board. The Immigration Refugee Board, or the IRB, is so backlogged right now that a lot of people that are illegally crossing the border into Canada from the United States and making an asylum claim, let's say they did it today, they might not have their claim heard for years. And in the meantime, they are, according to international law that we have to uphold, allowed to stay in Canada. So for the Prime Minister to come out and say, oh, don't worry, we've got this under control, we're going to remove people who don't have a legal reason to be in Canada, I was wondering how many people actually had been removed from Canada, because reports that we're hearing in the media is that for the amount of people that have entered into Canada this way since #Welcome to Canada, it's less than 1%. Less than 1% of, I think, close to 40,000 people at this point in time. So I had the Minister of Public Safety, this is the person in charge of removing people who are not allowed to be in Canada legally, in front of a parliamentary committee. This is a very official forum to testify specifically on the issue of illegal border crossers this week. Watch what happened when I challenged him on his assertion that people were being removed from Canada.
Chair, to the Minister of Public Safety, how many people who have illegally crossed the border from the United States into Canada and subsequently claimed asylum since January 2017 have been removed from Canada?
In response to specific statistical questions, Mr. Chair, I wouldn't have those numbers with me today, but I would be more than happy to examine the question in the record of the meeting and provide the answer numerically to the committee.
Mr. Chair, both ministers and the Prime Minister have put this particular aspect, the removal aspect, in the front of their platforms on this. The fact that the minister does not have this number at committee, I would suggest he has it. I would suggest he's hiding it, and I would ask him if he would be able to table this number with committee by the end of this week.
I will endeavour to answer the question as rapidly as possible with full statistical information, Mr. Chair, and I would point out that with the additional resources that have been provided in the last budget,
I have a point of order.
In the last budget,
I hate to interrupt.
We will be able to accelerate the process.
Mr. Chair, I find this quite difficult because I think Ms. Rempel is suggesting that the minister is not being forthright, and in fact she's suggesting that he's being deceiving. And I believe that's unparliamentary and is uncalled for in this committee meeting.
She has the right to do that.
I would say we continue to me. I'm not going to prejudge that, but yes.
I would like, on the same point of order, the opportunity to respond. Mr. Chair, the ministers have put forward the removal aspect as one of the key platform elements in terms of their response to this issue. That the Minister of Public Safety does not know in front of a parliamentary committee how many people have been removed from Canada in this for a parliamentary hearing?
I'm going to interrupt you to say that I believe we're now to debate, and I welcome you to continue your questioning.
No, Mr. Chairman, she's entitled to respond to his comments.
No, once we've moved into a debate,
It's not a debate. She's simply responding.
And I have responded that I'm not considering
You're cutting
this
her
point
off.
of order.
You're out of order, Mr. Chairman.
I'm happy to be challenged on that.
I'm challenging you.
All right?
Wait, point of order, Mr. Chair. Just point of clarification. So you are ruling my colleague's aspersion out of order?
Yes, that's out of order. And I would invite you to continue your questioning.
Thank you.
But if you'd like to pursue the challenge, that is also okay.
No, you've ruled him out of order. That's fine.
Thank you.
Could I make one point, Mr. Chair?
No, Mr. Chair, I would like to continue my questions.
Obviously, she's only interested in disinformation.
Mr. Chair, point of order. If the minister would like to table the amount of people who have been removed from this country, who have claimed asylum after illegally entering Canada from the United States since the start of 2017, I would be happy to have that information. However, for the minister to sit here and try and waste my time that I have for questions by saying it's disinformation because he doesn't have this information, I find mildly irritating and somewhat insulting. So I would invite him, if he would like to make a remark, that it would be that specific number, otherwise to let me pursue my line of questioning, as is my right.
I would just remind the committee that it is not our job on the committee to evaluate the quality of an answer. We are to ask our questions. I believe the minister has made an undertaking to the committee to provide those numbers, and I believe that he has made that commitment. I heard it, and I would invite the member to continue.
Mr. Chair, as I understand it, the question covered two fiscal years. I want to ensure I have complete data over 2 fiscal years.
All right, Ms. Rempel.
Yes, the minister has the ability to read the minutes of the meeting, as do all of us. Mr. Chair.
Which is what I said I would do, Mr. Chair.
I would like to continue with my line of questions. The minister's department had said that they were going to provide this committee with the exact lines of service that 800 staff members have been redirected to the border from to the Roxham Road issue from other lines. They have not provided that information. When does the minister anticipate providing that information to committee?
Mr. Chair, those are undertakings made previously by officials in their appearances before the committee, and I understand the requested information is available and will be tabled shortly with the committee.
When?
Either today or tomorrow, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Will the minister also provide a similar breakdown of the amount of RCMP and number of RCMP officers that have been redirected to the Roxham Road border crossing in terms of details on which lines of activity they work in? Essentially, I'm trying to get an understanding of where resources have been redirected from to deal with the Roxham Road issue.
So to be clear, Mr. Chair, the question is with respect to the same information that was earlier requested of CBSA. The member is now making a request for parallel information for the RCMP.
That's correct.
Commissioner Lucky is here. She's heard the request, and I'm sure she'll respond to it to the very best of her ability as soon as that data can be
Thank you very much.
So there you have it. The Minister of Public Safety at a parliamentary committee to testify on illegal border crossings after having told the country that he was removing people as a way of preventing people from entering in the future, couldn't even tell me how many people had been removed from the country. The media has picked up on this, but I don't know. I think he had that number, and I think he just didn't want to tell you, because I'm pretty sure that number is less than 1%. The government needs to get this situation under control. They need to close the loophole in the Safe Third Country Agreement. You notice the Conservative Party isn't talking about anything other than doing something that makes a lot of sense, and that is closing that loophole. We want a safe and compassionate immigration system. What's happening at Roxham Road is not that, and certainly the incompetence that you just saw on display is not going to get our system back to order. Working hard for you. Have a great day.